Salam sejahtera, dan bersama saya Rizal Zulkapli dan ini AWANI Global. Pada WCEF ke-11 di Hangzhou, saya berpeluang untuk membincangkan berkenaan dengan ekonomi digital Indonesia dan juga melihat kepada potensi ekonomi digital di negara dengan populasi lebih 270 juta orang di Asia Tenggara tersebut. Dan potensi sungguh besar melihat kepada populasinya yang terdiri daripada sekitar 50% anak muda. Dan laporan Google, Temasek dan juga Bain & Company sebelum ini mencadangkan ataupun menjangkakan bahawa ekonomi digital di ASEAN akan bernilai sekitar $113 bilion menjelang 2025. Dan untuk Indonesia sahaja, transaksi ekonomi digital ataupun e-commerce pada tahun 2019 pada sekitar $16 bilion dijangka akan meningkat kepada $82 bilion menjelang 2025. Namun ketika ini kuasa membeli berada di metropolitan Jakarta pada sekitar $555 Amerika untuk seorang, berbanding dengan di luar Jakarta ataupun metropolitan Jakarta sekitar $103 setiap seorang. Persoalannya adalah bagaimanakah untuk mengembangkan ekonomi digital di Indonesia dan juga apakah potensi dan juga bagaimanakah untuk mewujudkan lebih banyak entiti-entiti dan juga syarikat ekonomi digital di Indonesia. Untuk membincangkan perkara tersebut, saya melihat kepada isu itu bersama dengan Shinta Dhanuwardoyo, pengasas bubu.com, agensi digital komprehensif di Indonesia yang ditubuhkan pada tahun 1996, serta Pelabur Budiman untuk syarikat teknologi di Indonesia. Saksikan temu bual tersebut. So Shinta, let's look at Indonesia. It has about 171 million internet users, and smartphone penetration is at 48%. And I think Temasek, Bain & Company, and also Google has estimated that the Indonesian e-commerce industry will boom to about $135 billion in 2025. That is triple the amount right now. When it comes to e-commerce entrepreneurs, what are the opportunities that they have in Indonesia right now? I'm sure it's booming, but is there a particular sector, is there a particular niche that they should look at?
Well, when you talk about Indonesia, we're 17,000 islands, so it's really a huge country which is well spread out all over the whole Nusantara. So when you talk about what are the opportunity, there's a number of things. One thing is could be on the financial technology side, because out of the 260 million population, well, it's almost 270 actually, only about 50 to 60 million are bankable. So the rest, how do we reach the non-bankable people? So that's why I think fintech could be a good answer for that. So we've been seeing a lot of startups that are concentrating on solving that problem, on the how do we actually help payment throughout the whole country.
But and how will that enable more people to be able to be part of the formal economy?
Well, as you can see, a lot of the new companies, the payment companies, they're finding ways how to include everybody to be able to use the payment even though you don't have a bank account, right, or a credit card. So, even the credit card penetration is very low. So we have to see different ways how to help empower people to actually be able to do business using e-commerce, using different type of payment. So that means if we can reach out all those people in different 17,000 islands, so definitely we can include more people in doing business in terms of, they can be SMEs doing businesses from home, but they can use the platform, e-commerce platform, or they can use the different fintech solutions to actually empower themselves as a business person.
I remember going to Indonesia in 2018 or late 2017. There was one time an e-wallet was just started doing its advertisements, putting up billboards. A few months later, I tried to pay my cab fare with cash, and the taxi driver was like, "Oh, don't you have an e-wallet?"
Yeah.
And I was very surprised because I think people take up all these new opportunities, new services
very
really
quickly.
fast.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, we are a very young country, that's one thing. Out of the 270, 50% is below 30 years old. So we're very much young people who adapt to technology really fast. we're a mobile-first country, so everything starts with your mobile phone. So definitely, you know, the adoption of new technology is quite fast. It's because we, again, the young population, they're just into digital. Digital native, I guess.
And speaking of mobile phones,
yes.
You also founded bubu.com
yes.
in 1996.
Yes.
How has it changed the consumption of information, the consumption of shopping and retail, for example, via mobile phone? You started, I believe, it's on a web platform,
yes.
But now everything has moved to a more mobile-friendly platform. How has that changed?
Yeah, I think if you talk about 1996 to now, it's totally different landscape. Now, like I said, we're a mobile-first country. Everything usually will start from your mobile phone. A lot of the first introduction of internet for Indonesians are through mobile phone. So I guess the change is massive. Now everybody just, you know, use their phone to pay, to do transactions, to buy stuffs. E-commerce marketplace platforms are used very widely throughout the countries and by everyone, basically.
But do you have a good ecosystem to also support that, the logistics, the telecommunication network?
Yes, I believe when we talk about infrastructure, we can still actually have a better one, and we're looking forward, you know, like the 5Gs. But I think what's amazing about Indonesia, with what we have right now, we're actually, you know, penetrating all type of, you know, we're like the top 5 country who's, you know, doing all this social media. So I think we are quite creative and people who actually can use whatever we have right now.
And the potential that you have with the young people, are they more involved in the formal economy, in the digital economy? Do you see them having good ideas when they want to start the businesses?
Yeah, so actually I've been working with startup actually since after I was a venture capitalist. Now I'm more into angel investing. So I see a lot of startups on a daily basis, basically. And I think we have a lot of great new startups that are coming to Indonesia because they're solving, you know, Indonesia is so big that, you know, there's just a lot of problems to solve actually. So this startup are, you know, finding ways to solve certain problems, and you know, they become new companies and new startups. And it's quite exciting because, you know, now, you know, we have parking using the mobile phone. We have healthcare taken care of through your mobile phone, even education. So it's quite exciting variety of industries with the startups.
Are those inventions very hyper local?
In a way, yes, we are very localized because, you know, if you know our famous Gojek. It's very localized. I mean, that's, you know, we're solving the ojek drivers. So, you know, we see a lot more startups that are doing, you know, creating companies that are very, very localized in terms of solving the problems.
What are the key things that you look at when you want to invest in the startups? Because I'm sure the funds are limited. So and then you see people on a daily basis. How do you decide?
Me, I decide when I invest on a startup, I actually invest on the entrepreneur. So not necessarily on the product itself at the end of the day. Of course, when we meet an entrepreneur or a startup, we see their product first, of course. But then at the end of the day, we know, because I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years, is that you have to invest on the entrepreneur itself because the product can change anytime. It can pivot. When you know technology, they change very fast. So unless we have a very good entrepreneur, then, you know, we won't have a company that can last long. So at the end of the day, personally, I invest on the entrepreneur itself, the co-founders, and
You believe in investing in people?
In people, yes.
But why?
because that's the one who's running the company. The product can change anytime. I can literally talk to the startup and make them change the product maybe next month. Because I've been doing business for this so long, and I know that, for instance, I see this business model won't work with them, so they might have to change or pivot their product another time. So at the end of the day, who do you invest? You invest on the entrepreneurs, because the product can change anytime. And creating a product is something that any company can do, but who's going to run it? Who's going to execute it? I think that's most important.
Do you believe that also echoes what the president said after he won the election, saying that Indonesia will now invest more in human capital, developing talents? Do you believe that goes hand in hand with that?
Definitely, because without the talent, our digital economy is not going anywhere. So I think one of the big challenges that we have in Indonesia, of course, the talent, especially on the developers. We need a high-skilled developers or programmers. So more on the engineering part. So that's really, really important, because I think any industry, any company now have to go into technology. This not by choice anymore. They just have to do it. So that means we need more talents on the development side, the developers and programmers.
And what roles do Kadin play in this modern age of digital economy, of e-commerce? Would a chamber of commerce still be relevant?
Myself, I head the permanent committee of business, digital, e-commerce, and startup development. So we do help support startups. For instance, we just launched a project called startupindonesia.co, which is a platform that maps, and we create mapping of different startups, and also we help to connect all the startup ecosystem in Indonesia in that platform. So we'll have like database of the investors, database of the incubators, database of course the startup itself, the mentors. So we try to link this through this one platform called startupindonesia.co, and we hope that we can help startup not only in Jakarta but equal access to all startup across Indonesia.
Do you think that could possibly lead to more M&As or M&As within the startup community itself?
Why not? Because at the end of the day, through this network, we'll be connecting not only to the startup ecosystem in Indonesia, but we'll try to connect also to the other countries.
Is there a pressure to create the next Tokopedia, the next Gojek? Because we know when people talk about startups in Indonesia, people always look at the unicorns, the Bukalapaks and the Gojeks. Is there a pressure to also create that?
I don't know if it's pressure for other people, but personally, I mean, like we have now 5 unicorns in the country. But what's more important is how can we actually have startup that can help solve problems in Indonesia. Not necessarily you have to be a unicorn. So when you are solving different problems within the country, that means you're already contributing to the digital economy. I think that's way important for us here in the country.
Let's look at the young faces in the cabinet. You've got the Minister of Education and Culture, Pak Nadiem Makarim, and also the 7 young very young people who were brought in to be part of the Jokowi administration. This is a signal to the region that young people are becoming more and more relevant, especially in the policy making positions. What do you think this will also help startups and beyond startup, young people in Indonesia?
Definitely, because I think, for instance, we need in the education sector, we need the government should understand, like what Pak Jokowi said, we need more talents. So how do we create these talents is hopefully the government can see what type of education that we need within the school itself. Is it still relevant, the one what we have right now, or we need to add new things inside the curriculum? So definitely, I mean, the new young minds in the government is really welcome by us entrepreneurs, because we see that, hopefully we see a lot of changes that can support especially the digital economy in Indonesia.
Beyond human capital,
Yes.
what other changes do you want to see? Because I think recently the government has announced the registration of storefronts, online storefronts, and
Yes.
according to Tokopedia, that would probably hamper growth of the small and medium enterprises in Indonesia. On one hand, you see young people; on the other hand, you see maybe ways to control the development of this e-commerce. How do you see that?
What do you mean by control the development of the e-commerce?
Well, if you, I believe if you have to register storefronts, there will be bureaucracy. There'll be more challenges for them to just start a business, wake up and start a business. Do you foresee in that sense, or you don't foresee in that sense? You don't see it.
I don't really want to say, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But as long as it gives structure and a system that can help to grow the economy better, I'm all for it. But I think with technology, with digital, you can't really kind of give borders to anything. So I think we're hoping to see that government can understand that. The idea of doing digital economy is how do we actually work together with the policy. So if you ask me whether that's going to hinder the growth, I cannot say right now, because we just started with that, and I don't know whether it's going to be rolled out, like how soon it is rolling out, because I haven't seen it yet. So I can't really say how it's going to hinder, because it can be both either an advantage or disadvantage to the economy, but we'll see.
We're talking about Indonesia, and I believe during the last presidential election, there was always a move to there's always a move to strengthen the country. It's very domestic policies. What about the region role in the region that Indonesia can play with regards to e-commerce, with regards to startup? Do you foresee a bigger role for Indonesia to also be a leader in that field in the region?
I believe so, because we're right now in the region in Southeast Asia, we're the biggest. So we should also see how we can collaborate and contribute to the region itself. I myself a believer of collaborating with others. So definitely, for instance, through our Startup Indonesia platform, we're also hoping to collaborate with other countries to help grow the Indonesian startups. And we see how we can actually also help other startups in the region and makes it a stronger Southeast Asia.
What's the challenge right now to realizing that or to fulfilling that?
The
to
challenge?
Achieving that, yeah.
Well, if you think about it, I don't really see a very hard challenge. I mean, it's something that I've been building the network since 23 years. So I know all the network to talk to in different countries in Southeast Asia. So hopefully we can roll it out soon. At the moment you ask me the challenge, we're still building it right now. But I believe it's something that we can actually do. Indonesia, a lot of the other Southeast Asian countries are very much interested to connect with Indonesia, because we are probably the biggest market. Yes, so definitely that's something we can bring to other countries, and definitely we want also. How can we also be in touch with the other country as well? And
then there's also this move to woo investors from China into individual countries in ASEAN, for example. If you were to woo investors from China, which area of the e-commerce do you think would be beneficial to get more funds and to receive more funds from China? Is there a particular area? We visited Alibaba yesterday and also Geely. Do you foresee them playing bigger roles in Indonesia?
Actually, Alibaba has been supportive to the e-commerce ecosystem in Indonesia, because they've invested like in Tokopedia and stuff. So definitely, working, collaborating with China or other countries in the region, I mean, we're open, and hopefully can that strengthen the whole digital economy of the country itself.
Any particular areas of growth?
If you ask me, I don't know. I think the upcoming startups now in Indonesia are more on the healthcare, education. Those are the two that I think.
Solving the social,
yes, the social aspect of, of how we can deliver education, equal access to the whole Indonesia, and same with healthcare.
And let's talk about bubu.com. You started in 1996, and you are now a full-service digital agency. And you also, on your page, your statement is, we take innovation seriously. What kind of innovation is Indonesia looking for right now to take itself forward? We saw the election was very divisive. People are now coming together, working towards developing Indonesia for the future. What kind of innovations are you looking for? And how do you, when you say you take innovation seriously?
So I think when you talk about innovations, at the end of the day, we are all moving forward the big data, the artificial intelligence, whatever the industry that you're in, you'll be moving towards there. Indonesia is such a huge country with so much data coming in through social media, through our mobile phones. So definitely our future, we see that we'll be using a lot of artificial intelligence in any innovation that we're making to make things easier, to read the data easier, and hopefully with 5G coming in, that will help solve a lot of problems, because it's not easy to penetrate all the 17,000 islands. So I guess innovation is just being innovative in a company and bringing in innovation to companies, to the whole economy in Indonesia. That's the only way we can reach out to the 270 million. Yeah.
Is there an Asian way of doing it, of developing this new technologies? Because I think you are a global citizen. You were born in the Philippines. Your grandparents.
No, I was not born in the Philippines. I grew up in the Philippines.
You grew up in the Philippines. Sorry,
yeah.
you grew up in the Philippines. You went to Portland and Oregon to do your studies. But is there an Asian way of doing things, of developing e-commerce, of taking things slowly, of educating the population, the consumers? Do you believe there's an Asian way of doing it?
Asian ways. Wow, I didn't know there's that.
In Malaysia, there's a term called the Asian way of developing, with Asian values instead of looking at the Western values. Do you believe there's an Asian or Indonesian way of doing it?
I mean, like, Indonesia is very culturally rich, and we are very much traditional. In terms of family-wise, we're very traditional. So, I think it's just automatic, whether how we teach the kids or how we teach the whole nation on how to adapt technology. I don't know whether that's an Indonesian way or whatever, but I think it's just automatically. I mean, because we have these different cultures that we instill in ourselves, being Asian, being Indonesian, and so I don't know if you ask me exactly that Asian or the Indonesian way. I haven't really put much thought about it, because we just learn. We just adapt. Especially the Indonesian kids right now. Oh my God, they're like, literally, you just give them a phone and they can live. They can do everything inside the phone. I mean, now Indonesia is also very high in terms of gaming. Esports is really huge in the country. We have about 60 million gamers now in Indonesia. So there's just so many new business models as well from all this new ecosystem within the digital.
But is that a good thing or a bad thing that you give kids a phone or phones, then they know what to do with it? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Again, it's back with if you're it's back within yourself and your family, how you actually educate your kids. You can give anything to anyone and you can make it bad or good. So again, it's like back to the family, how you educate your kid when you give them phone, and how do they use it.
Okay, and my last question is there a particular value that you want to see in this development of e-commerce, of the digital business in Indonesia? Is there one particular value that you wish would be stressed on a bit more?
The value, I think being Indonesian, we still are very much traditional in a way, and the value of supporting and sharing with others is still very much we would like to see it, because we have the word gotong royong in Indonesia. So even though with technology, how do we actually empower that gotong royong even more? That's how I would love to see.
On that note, we thank you very much, Shinta. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.